Hi, welcome to Friday Night Chats with Garage Geek. Now, this Friday is going to be kind of a letdown, I guess, because I didn't do much this week. I was again playing my video game like a madman. So, again, my video game is called Horizon, not Zero Dawn, Horizon Forbidden West. It's the second one. Forbidden Dawn is the first one, and I'm just so into it. And then I've been going in at night, and instead of reading, I've been watching YouTube videos to catch up from when I was sick, which I've got to get out of that habit because I need to get back into reading. Okay, so I only read one book. I didn't see any movies this week. Yeah, it's been a pretty dry week. So I'm going to talk about the book that I read first, and then I'm going to talk about a whole bunch of random, some of them controversial issues. So it's going to be a little bit of a departure for me. I didn't watch any of my typical news shows this week. I'm behind. So most of the controversy I'm going to talk about are going to come from YouTube. So you're probably going to be aware of them. Not that you're not aware of news. That was a stupid thing to say. Okay, but anyway, so the book that I read was the third in the series by Mo Hader. Now, she was a crime fiction novelist from England, or she wrote about crimes in London, and so she's talking. This is the third book in a series about a detective, and pretty grisly murders in England. Let me go ahead and show you the cover. Now let me open up my photos. So that's the cover of the book that I read. Now the cover is important because it all starts with a hand that's found by a police diver. Okay, they're looking for something else and she comes across a hand. It's just a severed hand, and that gets the whole story started. Now I'm going to say of the three, so here's the problem that I have with detective fiction. They're always well written. They're not always. The ones that I read, like, they're really well written, but the genre for me doesn't keep me satisfied. Ooh, I shook that. In a way, I usually forget the plots. I forget a lot about them after reading them because they're all pretty much the same kind of plot. Sometimes the characters get me really involved. And I'm enjoying this, but again, I'm on the third one, and it's starting to feel, kind of the same, but it was a great book. Okay, so this one it also had like a weird kind of crime because it was about like immigrants in England from different areas of Africa and their different kind of rituals, and some of them, one of them is based on this, I forget what it's called, but this creature that they summon up to instill fear, and what can keep it at bay is human blood, and that there's also a lot of magic in different human body parts, especially if the body parts are removed, like the skin or the hands or like the penis, eyes. If the person is alive and suffering, more magic is given to those kind of organs, and it's just like, that's pretty grisly, right? But that's what it's based on, and the crimes, the investigation of the crimes go from there. So yes, this does follow in the line of very grisly topics that this detective has to deal with, and in that sense, it's still very good, very intriguing. But for me, the detective fiction genre just becomes kind of formulaic. I'm definitely going to continue with the series. In fact, I don't think she wrote very many more in the series, and I'm definitely going to finish them all. All right, so I've got a whole thing of notes. So I want to go ahead and talk about one big controversy. Okay, so one controversy that's kind of going around on a YouTube right now in the movie section is the idea of bootleg Blu-rays. Now, bootlegs have been around forever. They're always been like people on, on the sidewalk selling their, bootleg DVDs, what have you. Yeah, people buy them. It's not like I'm definitely guilty of this, but I bought so many DVDs and VHS tapes, and like I buy so much that if I occasionally buy a bootleg, I don't feel guilty about it because I put so much money into that system already, and I know that eventually if I cared enough to buy the bootleg, I'm probably going to buy the official release when it comes out, or at least a used copy. And that's something else we're going to talk about, right? But that has totally shifted. Oh, and I also want to talk, the quality. Like you were taking, a risk when you bought a bootleg DVD because sometimes they were filmed in the theater and you couldn't even hear what they're saying. The film quality is so bad, people are coughing and laughing all around the person who was filming it. And then sometimes you get a copy of of the official movie, whatever. And so you were really taking a big risk with those bootlegs, but it's not like that anymore. So it's totally changed. Now the idea is that so many companies now are refusing to put things out on physical media because they're trying to bolster their digital sales, and they just don't think that the money's in it. And so, for example, I've been hyper aware about this ever since it's been on YouTube recently, and there's been one major YouTuber and then another, and they went back and forth, and they were very amicable about it, but they both had very different opinions. And I think they both have very valid points. But this morning, case in point, I heard a commercial for the new Ant-Man movie, and it stated, buy it now only on digital. They're advertising that. And for people who have supported, physical media, it seems like a slap in the face, right? I don't know why you wouldn't want to, put your product out for your fans. Now, here's the thing. Of course, it's available digitally, but the problem with things on digital format is they can take it from you. It's not really yours. You don't own it. You may have bought it, and unless you somehow transfer it and are able to keep it like somewhere else, you don't really own it. And the content can be changed whenever they want. Let's say you bought a copy of a Disney movie, and then in 5 years, they decide something is objectionable in that movie. Well, they can alter it, and you have no say in it. They will actually change your copy, and you might not even know it. Okay. Oh, my angel wants to come up. Oh, it's very hot here right now. He's like all panting. Okay, so this is a really, really interesting debate, and I'm kind of falling into the camp of buying bootlegs is okay. Like, I'm a huge fan of the Netflix shows like Daredevil, Punisher, Jessica Jones, Defenders. And for a while there, I was wondering if they would be lost and never be seen again, because they were on Netflix and then Disney bought the rights to Marvel. And I just thought, well, now they're going to have to pull it, and they won't be able to show it on Netflix anymore. But thankfully, they moved platforms over to Disney, so you can watch them on Disney now. But for a while there, I was just like, are we just never going to be able to see these again? And there's no physical media copies. I think there was for Daredevil. I think they did release that in physical media. But it was kind of a very weird situation. It was like something very new. And this could happen because what if there's a lesser popular movie? Those things can be lost. And we know, like, this point has been made over and over again. Like, we know that every time there's a platform change, only the most popular movies get ported over to that platform. So many other movies are just lost. So when you think of all the movies on VHS that didn't make it to DVD, and then it goes again from from DVD to Blu-ray, so many movies are lost. There are so many movies you can only find on DVD, right? You're not going to find them on Blu-ray. And then now we're moving to 4K, and there's going to be so many movies that were only available on Blu-ray, right? And they're not going to port to 4K, which granted, that's not that big of a jump. But you get my meaning. The next thing I want to talk about is I watched a couple of Piers Morgan's videos. Now, Piers Morgan, to me, is so funny because all he exists to do is to piss people off. Now, he just tries to stir up controversy. And the funny thing is if you're on Piers Morgan's show, like all he does is badger you and cut you off, and he only lets his opinion be heard. It's kind of badass. So Piers Morgan, no matter what you think of him, like he infuriates me. But I enjoy what he does so much. Now, I don't watch him all the time, but every once in a while. So there were two things that he talked about that I saw. One, I'm going to start coughing, sorry. One was about a Sam Smith concert. Now, Sam Smith, which I don't know his music too much. I only know like one or two songs. But I guess he's doing a concert where, there's going to be a problem with my language. I'm going to talk about that in a second. So Sam Smith is doing a concert, and I just want to say, like, he doesn't have like the perfect male body, right? He's chunky, and he's gone up and down in his weight, and I'm never fat shaming him or whatever, but in his concert, he dresses in these wild costumes and very evocative, and he's doing all these kind of very trashy sexual things, and he's doing it for a reason, right? But Piers Morgan was like really going off on him and saying like, this is disgusting, and why would anybody want to pay to see this? And he thinks he's pressing people's buttons and pushing the boundaries, but all he's doing is being disgusting. And it's actually pretty funny. Now, whether you agree with what Sam Smith was doing or not, he had two guests on, and to the best of my knowledge, both of them were gay. One of them was a little bit older, and there was a younger guy, and they started off by talking about how Sam Smith wants to be called they, and this goes to that old pronoun issue. And it was so funny because both Piers Morgan was like, why do I have to call them they? There aren't two of them. Why are you forcing me to call you they? Like, that makes no sense. You don't get to choose what language I use, blah blah blah. It was pretty funny. And then throughout the entire interview, both of them, Piers Morgan and the older gay guy, they kept calling Sam Smith he, and the third one kept yelling they the whole interview. It was really, really funny. Maybe I'll try to link it here. I don't know. Really funny. You really should see it, just to see the footage of what Sam Smith's doing in concert too. It's pretty funny. But another one was it was called "Are Ships Racist?" And so he was talking about this something is going on in England where there's a football team and they have a ship on their like logo. I don't know if it's a football team or a college or something. So there's this like round thing, and there's like a old ship, like a schooner or whatever. And so there were two African, they weren't American. I think one was African American. I think one African English, two women on the panel, and they were like, no, we need to investigate this, and it's always good to have open dialogue and just to find out, and da da da. And he was like, really going off of them, like, what are you telling me, that ships are racist? This happened after slavery, blah, blah, blah. Like, he was going on and just cutting them off. He's brutal. But that's not even the funniest part. The funniest part was they had this American guy come on, and he said that even I was cringing. He was like, well, we have two women here, and how they always get very emotional. These women get so emotional. I was like, He made Americans look so stupid. And I was like, oh my God, he does not say. And the funniest thing is in the back, because they're focusing on that guy, right? He's sitting there talking. And you just hear the two women in the background, like, is he for real? What is he talking about? Do you hear this, brother? Because the guy was African American. Oh my God, it was so funny. I was cracking up. But man, I was embarrassed for him. Like, how do you get on a show and make those kind of sexist remarks, like women are emotional and they can't have an intelligent debate because of that? Oh my God, it was hysterical. So watch that one. Our ship's racist. All right. Another thing that's going on is so I listened to 2 records this week, basically. So I listened to the new Metallica because that's all going around, and I'm just going to say I liked it. All right, I'm not going to go into it because there's so many reviews out there. I'm sure you don't care. Like, I haven't listened to Metallica in a while, and I was just very interested in the hype. And so I started listening to this, and to me, it sounds, even though the Lars's voice is I hope I'm not mixing up the drummer. It's Lars, right? Who's the drummer? I forget. Anyways, the lead singer, his voice obviously sounds older. Well, he's an older guy. And I also think it's very bold. The inner sleeves, they have their aged faces, and they make it look aged intentionally. And I thought that was very bold. But more than the music, there's a huge controversy about the album cover because of the logo. People are screaming that they want the logo on the cover, even though there's a big hype sticker that says Metallica. And I'm like, this is just the weirdest controversy. So I want to show you what the album cover looks like. It looks like that, and it's just got this M. But there's a hype sticker here that says Metallica, blah, 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 blah. And then people online have changed the art, and they've actually put like the Metallica logo here. And so I actually really, really like this art. And I think there's something symbolic going on. I want this album, if I can get it, because it's a gatefold. And I think the colors are striking. And I don't think people are talking, but there's like a figure right here that's kind of bowed down. And nobody's mentioning that. And so what I did is I went ahead and drew the figure. He's from the back, like his feet are facing us, and his head is bowed down. And I don't know if it represents like someone lost, or, you know, a ghost, or a child that's gone, because, you know, they have all these images, you know, of things that are burnt and cast away. And the logo seems to be pointing right at the, so I think the cover is very artistic, and I think the placement of that logo has something to do with like the ideas in this cover. But it's really shocking, like so many fans are mad because they don't have the logo Metallica across the front. And I'm just like, that of all the things to get riled up about on this album, like, that just seems weird to me. So I'm a fan of this cover, and I don't want Metallica. I actually wrote Mr. Hall of Fame, and even Guz69, he actually made a cover, made a video. I'm like, just go ahead and magic marker write Metallica across it. I mean, or when you put it in your plastic, make the logo on the plastic, and when you slide it in and out, it'll be there. I mean, it's such an easy fix, I guess, if that's like what you really, really want. All right, my dogs are all playing below me, and I know they're gonna hit this, and my phone is gonna be, my phone camera is gonna be knocking about. All right, so that's the huge Metallica logo controversy, which I think is pretty dumb. But in addition to Metallica, this week I listened to Phil Manzanera's album, and I meant to get a picture of it. Maybe I can find it. So Phil Manzanera's solo album was recommended by Pressing Matters. Now, he's a YouTuber that I just recently found out about, because he reviews a lot of classical music, and he's doing a series of kind of obscure albums that in his collection that people should listen to. And so he's on his second one, and I'm going to go ahead and follow this series and listen to the things that he said, because his Phil Manzanera. I'm looking it up right now. Albums. Now he said like the first one sounded a bit like here it is. It's called Listen Now from 1977. Now let me pull out the picture. So that's what it looks like. It's kind of this weird cover, right? It's that. And I think it's a wraparound because yeah, no, I can't find what the back looks like. But yeah, it's a pretty striking cover. Let me see if I can make it bigger like that. I think the back is just a lot of buildings in that very like angular style. It's an intriguing album cover. And when I did listen to it, he said that, yeah, it's going to sound like Alan Parsons in some parts, and it totally did. And I'm a huge Alan Parsons Project fan, and so I really, really dug it. I'm so happy that he mentioned that. So I've been listening to that. And then the next one he mentioned is a soundtrack to a movie, which I'll mention next week. I'm going to listen to it this week. And it's by two famous jazz musicians. And the one is the most famous jazz musician of all. Oh, Miles Davis. I'm like, how do you forget the name Miles Davis? Okay, because he is like probably the most famous jazz musician ever. And my dogs are playing over here. They're getting all wild. So the next thing I want to talk about is Record Store Day. I only have two more things. Okay, so Record Store Day is tomorrow, and I'm kind of like, there's a lot being put out. There's a lot of really nice records, a lot. But none of them really appeal to me. Like, especially since they're very expensive, right? If I buy it on Record Store Day, it's got to be something I really, really want. Now, there is a record by Madonna, so I have to buy it because my husband collects Madonna, so we have to get that. But I actually want 2 CD releases. And it's weird because Culture Factory is it's a company I'm following, and they're putting out these vinyl replica CDs, and they're putting out 2 just for Record Store Day, and I think they're limited to 500 copies. That's super low. And so I actually wrote my record store close, to my house, and I wrote them. I'm like, hey, there's no chance that you even got those, did you? I mean, I'm not asking you to reserve me a copy. I know I got to stand in line like everyone else, but I'm just wondering if you happen to get them. He's like, no. I mean, I'm still going to go there. I always go there, no matter what. But I'm kind of bummed because it's like the only thing that I really wanted. And I don't know if they're going to be popular. One is a Kiss related item, so that one could be popular, and the other one's Ringo Starr, which is a Beatles related, so they could go fast. But they're also both being released as vinyl, and so I'm hoping the people will buy the vinyl and not the CDs. And who knows, like, which record stores even got those? So unfortunately, I don't know. I'm going to definitely get up. And another thing is, this Record Store Day, like I said, there's a Kiss related release, and there's a Taylor Swift related release. And so, as Melinda Murphy stated, all the Swifties will be out and all the Kiss Army will be out. So it could be actually kind of like really crowded. But I'm definitely going to go. It opened, like, the local record store near me is opening at 8. So I have to get up like super early on a Saturday, like 6:30, just to go there and be in line by 7:15, because I think there's going to be a big line. And I don't even want anything. It's weird, except Madonna. And there's always extra copies of Madonna at the end. It's not like, she sells out. All right. So the last thing I want to talk about, I'm going to get a sip of my coffee. Sorry. So the last thing I want to talk about was, I don't know how this got in my feed, but there was a guy on a plane and they filmed him screaming, cursing, screaming. And I mean, like, he was angry, and he was mad because there was a baby crying on a plane. And he was saying, for 45 minutes, I've had to listen to this kid crying. And what, it was going on and on, and he was using the F word, and he was cursing everyone out. And he's a black gentleman, and he made a racist comment. He's like, if that were a black baby, that wouldn't be happening. And I was like, or something like that, to that effect. it was just so weird. Like, who gets on a plane and doesn't know that you can't control babies? Like, the air pressure affects them and they're gonna cry. Like, you can't prevent that. So the question is, do you ban babies from crying, or do you put them in their own like special little compartment and seal it so that you can't hear it? Like, how do you solve that? So the guy, I feel, right, I think everyone would say this, that he's being unreasonable and ridiculous. And you, unless that kid was like 8, but I heard it sounded like a baby, like, maybe a 1 or 2 year old. Like, a parent can't control that. They cannot. Like, like I said, the pressure's going to change and it gives them headaches or what. Like, you can't control it. And I mean, if you're going to get on an airplane, it's like you're stuck in there, right? But it was so bad. I think they had to land the plane before they got to their destination, and they had to escort him off the plane. And they were like, they showed him at the end. He was like talking to the security guards or the police, and they walked him out. Now, I don't know if anything happened to him. Like, was he really a security risk? He was insulting everybody. He was calling everybody names. I don't think he was threatening anybody, but he was certainly vocal, and he was, I don't know. It's pretty bad. You should watch the clip. But, people in the comments are writing they shouldn't allow babies on planes, and they shouldn't allow, like what? That makes no sense to me. Like, how do you prevent someone with a baby from traveling? That doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, I don't know. That was just like the weirdest thing. This is a weird thing to end on. I'm probably gonna link the video where I saw that, because there were these twin brothers, and they were just laughing and commenting on it. They would show clips and then laugh and talk about it. And like, the guy in the video was obviously very angry. Like, he'd been listening to this kid screaming for 45 minutes, and he just had enough, and he snapped. He just snapped at an infant. And he was going on and on about that kid, and like swearing, and and the poor parents, right? They, like, I know if I were traveling with someone and they were screaming, like, I would be mortified. Now, I hate to say this, but maybe sometimes these days people feel more entitled, and maybe they don't feel bad for the other people that they're inconveniencing. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know what was going on that plane. I've certainly seen that. It's like, but then again, they could just feel like so overwhelmed, like they can't do anything. And so they just kind of give up. Like, what do? You can't do anything. But it was just a really, really crazy video. I'll try to link it below. Pretty funny watching, to be honest. I would love all your comments. This is a really short Friday night chat. I want to actually get to playing my game. Now, supposedly Ant-Man, the new Ant-Man, was out on Disney already, but the night that it was supposed to be out, we went to watch it on Disney Plus, and it wasn't there. Oh, and that's another thing about the bootleg thing. Everybody talked about how, I do pay my money to Disney Plus. I subscribe to them. I subscribe to Netflix. I'm paying my money every month, right? And so it's not like I'm stealing from them, really. But that was another side of the argument. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead, and I'm just shy of, I'm 29 minutes, so I'm right under 30 minutes. I want to thank you all for your support. I love all the comments. Please leave any comments you want. Please sub to the people that I mentioned in the video, and I'll see you next week.